Just recently, we got back from the Origins Gaming Convention, and we wanted to share with you our biggest haul yet.
Yes, we have brought back the most games we have ever brought back from a convention in the history of Quackalope.
Three
whole games.
We got back three. But we have good reasons for bringing these games back. One of them is a prototype we were given. One of them is a game a publisher gave us after we told the publisher no.
And we play tested it
We don't want your game.
And one is a game we bought.
So, you want to break down the games that we actually brought home?
So, this is Roll to the Top by Allplay. This is one of their newest roll-and writes, where you roll any number of dice based on how the game is going. I know that was very descriptive. You roll any number of dice, and then you're going to be taking the numbers that show up on the die faces and trying to fill in a picture and fill in all of the boxes in the picture all the way to the top, as the name suggests. Your restrictions are that you have to start placing in the bottom. You cannot place a number above a number that is lower than it. So you cannot place a 7 the opposite. You cannot place a 5 above a 7. Mm-hmm. You have to place equal to or greater than. So you can start 1s on the bottom row, and then you can place 1s on top of 1s, but you cannot place a 1 on top of a 3.
Yeah, so the whole crux of the game is when you decide
I'm explaining it correctly.
The whole crux of the game is when you decide to make a run for it and try to get your way to the top of this little board. Why did we buy this little roll and write game?
We like roll and writes. We take them on date nights with ourselves, and we have had a positive experience with a lot of the all-play games. And we played it at the con and had a lot of fun there. We played the pyramid example where you start at the bottom and you think that you want to only put in small numbers, but then if someone around the table starts putting in the bigger numbers, then they might get to the top first. You can always add the numbers on the die faces, but you can never divide them up.
Yeah, and so you start racing. Now, it usually comes down to the wire, and I'll be honest, it doesn't always feel... It feels like there's one key moment where a decision you made either lost you or won you the game.
You chose that one key moment in one of our games, 2 turns in. You're like, well, I lost. We're not
I started by putting a 6 on the bottom, and I was like, we've got to restart. This is impossible. Because she waited for 1s to pop out.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those games where it's quick playing. We usually get 3 or 4 sessions of it in every time we sit down.
We've got the expansion maps in here.
20 games deep.
Yeah, we have played all of the base game maps, and then we have the expansion maps to start diving into. The maps add a different puzzle, because sometimes there's little overhangs that you can put a high number that it won't affect your trajectory going up. Sometimes it's not as simple as that, and you have to start with the low numbers.
So this is the only game we purchased at the Origins Game Convention. Specifically, the only game Shira purchased, because I've already spent all of my personal budget.
Yeah.
And you had just a little bit left.
Yeah, I want to do a top 10 roll and writes, and so this is going to be on that list, because I've really enjoyed it.
Okay. A publisher that we initially said no to. Now, for those of you that don't know, the game industry is a little bit funny. A lot of content creators go to conventions and walk around from booth to booth, from floor to floor, shaking hands and saying, hi, I've got an Instagram, I've got a YouTube channel, I've got a Twitter. Can I have your game? Mm-hmm. We, from the very beginning, Quackalope from the very beginning, took the policy of saying, we're not asking for your game. We instead want you to remember that we'll be here a year from now. But publishers are pretty used to giving content creators games. We said no to probably 10 or 12 games throughout the course of the convention.
This last one?
Yeah, without even asking for them. Publishers saying, hey, do you want to grab something? Do you want to take a game to go? We'd love for you to cover it. Yeah. We kept saying, we are not here to bring games home. We want to figure out what the next stage of the channel is like. We want time to play the games we already have. We just filmed a video talking about all the games that we have yet to play. Yeah. And yet, Thunderworks Games played the right card. They said, listen, we think this game is up your aisle.
Yep.
It's like Acquire, one of Shira's favorites, that she went out of her way to buy an antique copy of.
I did, and then I found out that they're going to be making a newer version of it. I got to play it at a convention and absolutely
And the good people at Thunderworks said, we hear what you're saying.
Why don't you just play it?
We won't give this game to you.
Yeah.
We won't do it. But why don't you schedule a time to come out? We'll have it on the table, sit down here, we'll teach you the game, we'll run you through it. We just got it in, we're really excited about it. We haven't had it, at a convention ever before. Yeah. And so we said, okay. We came back the next morning, we sat down, 4 players, played through the entire game, and afterwards...
It was 3-player.
It was 4-player, because the teacher played.
He played, and then...
And afterwards, Shira snuck over to the side with the publisher,
and just said,
what did you do, Shira?
I enjoyed this a lot. I would be happy to cover it on the channel.
Sure. Yeah. So we ended up taking a copy because we really enjoyed it. You want to talk about the game?
Yeah, it is a fantasy version of Acquire, where you are going to be placing out tiles and making these big terrain areas, which will then call different characters, creatures out onto the board that have powers and abilities. You're going to be taking stock in that species by getting cards from their hand, and then those cards you can either play them to get resources or you can play them to do their power and ability. And when two regions of land, terrain types, clash into each other, then the creatures themselves are in a battle, and everyone who has stock in those creatures or in other creatures that can affect battles will be playing cards from their hands. So it's a fantasy version of Acquire, where there's powers and abilities. You are going to be trying to have the most stock in the creature that has the most value at the end of the game, and then you'll have the most points.
The thing that differentiates it, that makes it really interesting, is the fact that every single faction that you have a card from has a special ability on that card. So you mentioned powers and abilities, but those really come into play.
Yeah.
But you're spending the bids that you have, you're spending the stock price that you have in order to affect other battles. It comes down to some number crunching, some really fun, like, randomized play. Very, very good. A little bit looser than I would say Acquire is.
But I like the fact that there are more. In Acquire, you have 6, I believe.
Yeah.
You have 6 buildings, like 6 companies.
The different factions here randomize it.
Yeah, you have different factions here, and you can randomize it, and different ones come in with their different powers and abilities. So there's some factions that'll actually let you play cards of a different faction in the battle and affect the battle outcome.
So specifically because we had a chance to play through an entire game of this at Origins, we accepted and decided to bring it home because we wanted to do some coverage here on the channel for it. We'll probably have like a dedicated right for you, wrong for you video or something along those lines down the road. We need to get it unwrapped and played a few more times. And the last thing that we brought home...
This is Cretaceous Rails.
This is a prototype. Now, prototypes are pretty common to pick up from board game conventions.
Yeah, it's a very easy way to hand them off.
Have them there, showcasing them. It saves money from shipping. You're able to learn it a little bit while you're sitting there in front of them. This is one coming from Spielcraft Games.
Yeah, these guys made For Glory.
Made For Glory.
Which is a fun battling game.
And just in case any of you are curious, this is one that we're doing completely free coverage for because we support them, we enjoy them, and we're excited to see another weird creation of theirs come to life, come back to the channel. So, Cretaceous Rails.
The theme of this game is that you have traveled back in time to visit the Cretaceous era, and you are going to be building your own resort to showcase dinosaurs that you have captured. You're going to be building a train line that goes around your resort, and the goal is to have the best resort after 4 rounds.
Yeah, and mine is going to be full of hippopotamuses.
And what's really cool is, if you can see this little action board right here, you're going to be placing your pieces down in between 2 action squares, and those are the actions that you're going to take that turn. So you have 4 sets of 2 actions that you're going to take throughout the game, and they get tighter and tighter because other players are going to be playing them down.
Very excited to check it out. Excited to get it to the table. We'll be playing it over the next week or 2. We'll be doing some content hopefully before Gen Con, because then we got to hand it back over so we can show more of you fine folk exactly what this game is.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll see it back here on the channel soon. Let us know. Was that a reasonable board game haul? Should we have had less games? Should we have had more games? And if you've been a fan of the channel for a long time, you've seen us go crazy with doing the walkthrough.
You had that time lapse with like all the games we brought back from one convention. There's something like where you feel special that you're being given a game.
Well, it's not that.
I feel special.
She sure likes getting things. So
I do.
Here's the thing. It can be a lot of fun to produce a video that's like, here's our massive haul. We brought back 48 games from Gen Con, for instance. Do you enjoy that content, or do you enjoy the content where it's like, no, we bought 1 game, we were given 1 game by coercion, and we accepted 1 prototype? But what fits your speed? Because I'm happy to go to a convention, walk through, and be like, hey, this is the video we're doing. If you'd like this video, let us know. We'll accept a game. I'm also, honestly, probably more content not bringing home a lot of stuff, because it's a lot of work. Now we have 3 games to cover, and
yeah,
that already feels overwhelming.
Yeah. But I'm happy with our choices.
I think we have excellent choices.
I'm excited.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Let us know your thoughts. We'll see you next time.